I have a complicated relationship with free proxies. And honestly, you should too. A proxy is basically borrowing someone else's internet connection so websites see their address instead of yours. It sounds great when it's free, but with free proxies, you never really know who's sitting in the middle between you and the web. Some are logging everything you do, and some are literally honeypots. Traps set up to collect your data, yet the demand for free proxies never die. So instead of pretending they don't exist, today I'm gonna walk you through what's actually out there, what's safe for testing, and what's dangerous, and the setup I personally use when real accounts are on the line, but I'm gonna talk about that a bit later. Watch this video till the end and I'll show you a clean multi-accounting setup for managing proxies and how to get 2 gigabytes of free proxies so you can protect your accounts and start with way less risk. Not all free proxies are the same. There are 2 very different categories, and mixing them up is how people get burnt. The first are free proxy lists, and these are websites that scan the internet for computers with open connections and publish the IP addresses, basically the return addresses of those connections, in a big list anyone can use. They typically offer a few hundred to a few thousand IPs, updated every few minutes to filter out the dead ones. The best lists let you filter out by protocol, basically the language the proxy speaks. Some common ones handle regular web browsing, while others handle more advanced connections. You can also filter by country, speed, or how anonymous you'd like it to be. Basically, whether the proxy tells the website it's a proxy or pretends to be a direct connection. The good thing about them is that they're completely free. No sign up, and you can grab addresses and paste them into any tool immediately. It's good for testing scripts, checking if a website is accessible from another country, or learning how proxies work. What's bad about them is that they're shared by hundreds of people simultaneously. Most platforms have already flagged these IPs. They're slow, unstable, and many go offline within minutes. Some lists don't even show uptime, and that's basically how long the proxy stays working, so you have no idea if an address will be alive by the time you use it. And the biggest risk of all is that you have zero control over who operates the server. Some free proxy operators log your traffic, inject ads, or worse. So to wrap up, free proxy lists means public addresses that anyone can use. It's great for testing, but it's risky for anything real. No guarantees on speed, stability, or safety with these free proxy lists. But in category 2, free plans from proxy providers, and these are actually legitimate companies that offer a small free tier, typically with 5 to 10 private IP addresses with 1 to 2 gigs of monthly traffic. The difference is huge. These IPs are private, not shared with the public. They're faster, more stable, and the provider stands behind them. Some offer data center IPs, and these are basically addresses from server farms, and these are cheaper, faster, but easier for platforms to detect. A few offer residential IPs, addresses from real home internet connections, which look like normal people browsing the internet. But what's good about these are predictable performance, no mystery operators, actual customer support, enough bandwidth for a real test, and not just pinging a server, but actually running a workflow and seeing how it works. What's bad about these are that the free tier is extremely limited. 5 to 10 IPs and 1 to 2 gigs disappear fast, no location targeting, and you get whatever IPs the provider assigns. And once your traffic runs out, you're done unless you upgrade or pay for a plan. Let's say an SMM agency manager who needed to test whether proxy-based multi-accounting would work for their client accounts. They used the free proxy list and set up 3 test accounts within 2 hours. All 3 hit verification walls, basically prove your human challenges, because the list IPs were already flagged from hundreds of previous users. When they switched to a free plan from a legitimate provider with private IPs, the same 3 test accounts logged in cleanly. The IPs weren't burned. Free plans from providers are more stable, more private, and limited. Free proxy lists are public, unstable, risky, and only for testing. A free plan is always the safer bet. Let's talk about problems free proxies can't solve, even the good ones, because here's the part nobody in free proxy videos ever talk about. A proxy changes your IP address. That's it. It doesn't change your browser's fingerprint, basically a unique ID card built from your screen size, fonts, graphics cards, audio processing, and dozens of other signals your web browser broadcasts to every single website you visit. If you log into 2 accounts through 2 different proxies but from the same browser, the same fingerprint is behind both accounts. The platform detects that and links them. If one of them gets flagged, both accounts are at risk. Think of it as wearing 2 different hats but keeping the same face. The hat changes, but anyone looking at your face knows it's the same person. For anything beyond basic testing, managing multiple accounts, running campaigns, operating business profiles, you need both a clean proxy and a unique fingerprint per account. Residential proxies, the kind that look like real home connections, cost roughly $150 to $6 per gigabyte, significantly more than free. But for accounts where real money or reputation flows through, the cost of a banned account always exceeds the cost of a proper proxy. Always remember that proxies change your IP. They don't change your fingerprint. For real accounts, you need both, or the platform links the account anyway. This is the setup that actually protects your accounts. This is where an anti-detect browser, basically a specialized browser that creates separate digital identities, comes in. It generates a unique fingerprint for each profile, different canvas rendering, different graphics card signature, different audio processing. Each profile gets its own cookies, basically a small file website store to remember you, and its own proxy. It gets everything brand new for each account. You can use any anti-detect browser you want. There are several solid options, but I'm going to show you my setup in GoLogin because the proxy integration is instant, everything auto configures, and it includes 2 gigabytes of free built-in residential proxy traffic, which is honestly safer and easier than any free proxy list you'll find. Alright, so open up GoLogin, open the dashboard, profile list on the left, click blue add profile at the top, and name account 1. Of course, now the proxy. In the proxy section, you have 2 options. You can paste external proxy credentials if you already have a provider, or you can use GoLogin's built-in residential proxies. Just click proxy, select GoLogin proxy, and choose your country. Click check proxy, and if a green check mark shows up, you're connected. Country and city displayed. Hit create profile, and don't touch time zone, language, or geolocation. GoLogin reads your proxy and aligns everything automatically. If your IP says United States, but your time zone says Germany, platforms catch that mismatch. GoLogin prevents it entirely. So after autosync makes your IP, time zone, language, and fingerprint all consistent with 0 manual configuration, click run and the browser opens. Before logging into anything, we verify using iFay.com, open it in a new tab. This tool checks the same signals platforms check, and we verify that our IP class say residential. If it says data center, platforms will flag it more aggressively. If it says hosting or VPN, it's even worse. Fingerprint consistency. All your browser signals should match and look like a genuine device. Time zone and language should match your proxy's country. And lastly, ensure WebRTC leaks, basically data leaks that reveal your real IP address behind the proxy, should say no leak. All green. Now log into your account. The platform sees a unique device on a residential connection with matching time zone. Nothing links this session to your real device or to any other profile. This works because platforms read fingerprint, IP, and time zone on every login. When each GoLogin profile generates completely different values for every signal, the platform has zero matching data points between profiles. Each looks like a genuinely different person. If iFace shows red, regenerate the fingerprint in GoLogin. If the proxy fails, check credentials or switch proxy endpoint. If you want a second account, create another profile in GoLogin with a different proxy, different fingerprint, different IP. It's completely isolated from the first. Let's say an e-commerce seller managing 3 marketplace stores. They used free list proxies directly in their regular browser, different IPs, same fingerprint. The marketplace linked all 3 stores through their shared device signals and flagged them for a review. If each store had been its own GoLogin profile, separate fingerprint, separate proxy, separate cookies, no linking would have been possible. The businessman would have had no issues. GoLogin profile with residential proxy and IFA verification means you get a clean identity per account. Free proxy lists alone can't do this, and there are myths within free proxies, and myth 1 is that free proxies are fine for managing real accounts. But in reality, this can be further away from the truth as free list IPs are shared and flagged. Platforms detect them within minutes. For real accounts, you need private residential IPs. And myth number 2 is that a proxy is all I need to keep accounts separate. As in reality, a proxy only changes your IP. Your fingerprint stays identical. Platforms link accounts through fingerprints even when IPs are different. You need proxy and unique fingerprints per account. What changes if you're just learning and experimenting? Grab a free plan from a legitimate provider or use GoLogin's built-in 2GB residential traffic. Test your workflow on throwaway accounts and don't use accounts you care about with free list proxies. What changes if real accounts or real money is involved? Residential proxies and GoLogin profiles. 1 profile per account, 1 proxy per profile. IFA verified before every login. No exceptions. You need to be safe when you're out on the internet, especially when money is involved. If your accounts get linked together, that can mean lost revenue for a long time. If you get a verification wall right after logging in, your IP is likely flagged. Switch to a residential proxy, either a paid provider from GoLogin's built-in option or re-verify on iFA. If iFA shows data center or hosting as IP class, platform flag these aggressively. For any serious account work, you need it to show residential IP. If 2 accounts suddenly get linked, they shared a fingerprint or IP at some point. Separate them into dedicated GoLogin profiles with different proxies moving forward to avoid any issues. And to recap really quickly, free proxy lists are useful for quick tests, but they're public, shared, and really risky. Free plans from providers are safer, but very limited. Neither solves the fingerprint problem. Both can link your accounts together and get you suspended or banned off of platforms. But for real accounts, residential proxies, and anti-detect browsers with a unique fingerprint per profile, verified clean on iFA. GoLogin's built-in 2GB residential proxy traffic gives you safer starting points than any free list ever could, and the fingerprint isolation is what keeps accounts alive. If you want to replicate this setup to get 40% off and claim the 2GB free proxies, click my link in the description or the pinned comment. Drop your proxy setup in the comments. I'm curious to see what you're running, and if this helped, hit the like button and I'll see you on the next one. And of course, thank you so much for watching this video up until this point. YouTube thinks you're gonna like this video on screen. I suggest you click it.